What is going on, guys? I'm excited to bring to you a more revamped and advanced 6 phases to a yes to help you, of course, convert more opportunities that we bring to you and just opportunities in general so that you can land more clients. And I wanted to give this to you as if you were already at 10K, 20K. So you obviously know how to land clients, but this might help you land better clients and ultimately teach others and ramp them up quicker so that they know how to close deals just like you rather than being misaligned as a closer and just wanting that quick cheddar to closing commissions. So in this video, I'm just going to give you a quick guideline of what we're going to cover in the following video. So phase zero, right? Not even phase one. We're going to be talking about mindset. Phase one is going to be the introduction, how to start a call. Phase two is going to be deep discovery, one of my favorite phases. And then from here, right? So if you're doing a 2 call process, that's the intro right there. Um, Phase three is the finishing part of the intro call, which is the transition to the demo and preventing objections. Then we got phase four. So this is the demo call now. Phase four is the actual pitch. Phase five, we got the trial close. Phase six, we got objection handling if needed, and then getting them onboarded, right? We'll even talk about that. So I'm excited to dive into this. Go ahead and jump straight into the next video. All right, so we are going to start with phase zero, and this is honestly the most important part. So if you don't skip this, right, make sure that you or your team watch this. Basically, you need to have the right mindset before you even go into the first call, especially the first impression of a prospect, right? You got to be there mentally sharp. You got to be the present. You got to be there with the right intention. So just to kick us off, you have to have conviction. You, right? Whether you're the owner, whether you're the seller, whether you're the closer, have to have, of course, conviction in what you're selling, right? Be sold on your own product. You don't have to know that you are the best product out there, right? Say that you're at 5K. Of course, there's 100K a month agency owners out there, 500K a month agencies. Believe it or not, you guys are selling practically the same thing. Chances are you are. Might be maybe there's like a slight tweaked in it that's helping them get good results. But all you need to know is that you can actually do better than what the prospect currently has. That's enough for you to say, hey, I actually can help you make a better ROI if you partner with me. Okay. So make sure that's in check. The second thing that especially we have control is energy. No one likes to talk to a zombie. No one likes to talk to someone who isn't present, listening to them. We also need to be alert for certain words, tonality, body language, right, on the Zoom call, and other things to make sure that hey, if we see this, it's triggering that we need to do something about it. When you're not there cognitively and being present, you aren't able to pick up on certain words in the discovery, on certain phrases they use, and able to think about the process, right? So make sure your energy is intact, right? And the best way to go about that is make sure you have good sleep first and foremost, right? I've seen people grinding on their agency, but get like 4 hours of sleep, and when they get sales calls, they are like walking zombies, like just going through a script. You cannot do that, right? Second thing is nutrition and fitness kind of going together, making sure that you physically are healthy, making sure you're not feeling lethargic, right? The opposite of energy is obviously not having any. So make sure that's intact. If you have supplements, definitely use those. I'm not going to recommend a lot, but ashwagandha is great. Um, I take a lot of creatine personally as a fitness guy. What else? Rhodiola is great for digestion. So especially if you have a lot of calls after lunch, have that. It's good for your digestion system. Take your vitamins, minerals, etc. Right? That's for another call or another video. Make sure actually this is a huge thing. Make sure your social life's intact too. Not to say that it's an absolute game changer, right? But when you're able to have good social life and also, I'm going to talk about this practice in public, how you speak, it also affects how you speak in public too. The way I talk to my family, the way I talk to my friends, it also is kind of what I do to practice and obviously talk to you guys in front of this camera. Then the other thing that you can also leverage is alter ego. Totally another separate subject, but to mention it, you can also have an alter ego of who you feel like you are whenever you step in front of the camera, whenever you hop on Zoom in for the close. Do you actually picture yourself as like I've seen people say the Grand Reaper, the assassin. Obviously Kobe's was a black mamba, the alter ego of like just ready to kill at and strike at any moment, right? With silence. So possibly having an alter ego, you can definitely look up a book. I forgot who it's written by, but it's a great book that'll help you. So basically, that is how you can increase your energy and make sure your energy is good, right? At least just don't be lethargic on the calls. Then the last thing is intention. Are you genuinely here to help the prospect, help the person, help their business transform it and be successful and help their clients and customers? Or are you really just here to try to close everyone, right? Especially if you're a closer watching this. I know you're here for the commission. I know you're here to make good money. That's great. But you will make serious good money if you really align yourself with actually helping people. What do I mean by that in action and practicality? That means sometimes turning away people who should not be closed, right? And we'll talk about that more in these videos. But guys, we are here to change people's lives. We're here to really help people. It's why I'm here to help you, right? It's probably here why I closed you. It's because I know I can help you. Okay. So make sure you have the right intention every single call. Are you saying, hey, I'm going to close this person? I don't care what it takes. Sure, right? You want to have that mentality as a leader to lead them in the best direction, but you also want to have the genuine knowledge and understanding that you are not always able to help everyone, right? Trust me, you don't want to close everyone because sometimes you'll get charged back. Then lastly, let's just talk about getting better, right? Number one, record your calls. It's so crazy to me after working with hundreds of agency owners, yes, you guys, that 30% of people don't record their calls. And they, I hate to say it, throw up the white flag and say, I just, they make up an excuse and say, I don't know how to. Yes, you do. I know how. Yes, you do. Go on Zoom, record your calls. You can turn it on, or you can have a note taker like Fathom, Otter, Read, right? All these different note takers. No excuse. Record your calls. You want to be like an athlete, practicing your watching your game film and practicing on what you can do better. Okay. That said, practice in front of a mirror, right? Simple stuff like that. Record yourself on voice memo so you can hear how you sound. Then role play with your friends or me, your other friend, and then practice in public. Like I said, so when you're out, in public, talking to strangers, your family, your friends at a gathering, you want to practice, right? Certain questions, right? Your tonality, listening to them, right? Literally, and this will just help you get better for sales, right? So being present with people is one of the best things. Being present in general is one of the best ways to make sure you are good at sales. Okay, so that's mindset right there. Now we'll go into phase one, how to start the intro call or the first impression with the prospect. All right, so we are here in phase one, the introduction. So this one will probably be 2 to 3 minutes, but this one you do not want to blunder. This is easily one of the fastest ways people blunder calls. If you don't know how to set the frame and the agenda and ultimately set it up for success. A lot of people kind of let it go to chance that that the prospect doesn't take advantage of you asking the wrong questions or you not framing things, and the reason why we do this at the end of the day is to let people know, right? Is to let people know that and clarify the best time to ask them questions, how the process will go, right? You don't just go to a doctor's office and then hope like to ask questions right from the gate, right? You let the doctor do its thing because we expect them to have an agenda to help us, right? So before that though, just go in and start with small talk, right? If you don't want to do small talk, that's totally fine. If that's not their vibe, you can go straight into it, but usually I like to start and just have small talk to really get to know them as a person and for them to know that I'm just a person, not a salesperson. So I like to say, hey, what's up? It's Marcus. How you doing? Good. Yeah, I see you're located in Sydney, Australia. How long you been there? Awesome. Cool, man. How's the weather? Good? No? Awesome. Yeah, I'm based out here in Seattle, Washington. It's like 9:30 a.m. for you right now. Wow, it's like 5:30 p.m. It's crazy. Cool, man. And then I just jump right into setting the frame and agenda. Now, one of my favorite lines, and I'll shout out to give full credit to my coach and mentor right now, Paul Daley. He has a great YouTube video. I'll kind of share with you a link in here um, to how he sets up the frame. He also has a great other line about making sure that the buying call, is actually a buying decision. Anyway, so setting the frame here, we literally just go from there. It's like, cool. Well, Paul, is it cool if I we hop into it? Awesome. Well, today I just want to keep it really easy, short and sweet, because I just want to find out more about where you are right now in business, where you're trying to go, and what's keeping you from getting there. And if it seems like something we can actually help you with, then I'll walk you through everything on the second call. I'll break it down from A to Z and answer all your questions. And if you like what you hear at the end of that, then I'll make this offer. We can make an offer and see if we can partner. Sounds fair enough? So you basically can set the agenda right there. As you can see in his annotations, you want to say short and sweet. It just disarms resistance. Find out where you are, right? Where you're trying to go and what's keeping you from getting there. This gives you permission to ask questions, but not in a salesy way, right? Instead of saying, hey, I got a couple of questions I need to ask you or want to ask you, that gives it the more frame and tone of like, this is an interview, right? I got a question to ask you. It's like, okay, you don't go to a date and say, hey, I got questions to ask you to see if we can, date. It's like, no, I'd love to learn more about who you are, obviously where you're trying to go, your values, and if it makes sense, I'd love to see if we can have a second date from here. That was a little bit of Marcus Riz. Chill. Um, and the reason why we highlight this is because it's all condition based. If it actually seems like we can help you, then we can have a second call, right? If you're doing 2 call process, then we can you know, then we can have a second call and I can see if we can come in and help you and I'll show you everything from A to Z, answer all your questions. So you're letting them know, hey, right now it's for me to see where you're at and where you're trying to go, what's keeping you from getting there, why you're in the same position. And then on the second call, you're saying, I'll break it down from A to Z what we do and answer your questions. And then again, if you like what you hear at the end of that demo call, then I can make you an offer and see if it works. And we just have an upward tonality to confirm that that's something they're okay with. Sounds fair enough? Sounds cool? Awesome. So that's what we do right there to make sure we set the frame, right? And again, if you are working with us, which is amazing and phenomenal, then yeah, you just kind of relay how you first got in touch, whether it's on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, etc. It's like, hey, yeah, we were just talking really quick over LinkedIn. Hope you've been doing good. How's everything been today, right? Or you just say, hey, my team member on Instagram, Alicia, reached out to you yesterday. Does that ring a bell about how we can bring you more jobs? Awesome. You good for another 10, 15 minutes here? See how we can help? Awesome. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. And then you just talk about your agenda. So that is how you set the frame. Now, this is going to be my favorite, phase 2. Because personally, this is where the sales comes in. This is where you pre-handle objections, really understand and really dig for their pain. So, I'm excited for this one. See you on that one. All right, what is up, guys? So, phase 2, deep discovery. Like I said in my previous video on the introduction, this is probably the most important phase because this is where you diagnose the prospect. Like a doctor, using a doctor analogy, this is where you get to really understand their symptoms and the pains because of it, how long it's been a pain, how long it's been an issue. Today, I'm going to kind of give you a breakdown, a roadmap, a model on which I like to leverage and make sure people understand how I go about it. I'm not saying that I'm absolutely perfect. I'm closing 100%. I'm a god at sales. Heck no, I'm not. But this has helped me have better conversations and really understanding if I should help someone if they're in that position where I can't help them. Okay, so let's go ahead and break down those step by step. So what I like to do from the intro, right? You set the frame, and they're like, "Yep, let's go ahead and dive right into it." Where I like to do is just start surface level. So actually, I'll go ahead and edit this. Let me see. Okay, it actually is through. So I basically like to start surface level. So you can imagine grass here. This is surface level, right? Pretty easy. Literally, that's where people say, "Give me that 30,000 foot overview, a bird's eye view of your business." I like to just say, "Yeah, we'd love to kind of understand a quick overview of like your business. For example, how long you've been servicing Los Angeles, what kind of services you're looking to get more clients in, and then we can dive into marketing from there, see if we can help. Cool. And then yeah, that's where they word vomit and kind of share, yeah, we've been in business for 5 years in Los Angeles, started out with me in the garage. Now I've grown this to a studio, just 5,000 foot studio, which is cool. I'm like, yeah, take on like 3 clients. And so and then, yeah, are you currently like looking for more group classes or semi-private training clients or full-on PT clients with you? Yeah, cool. And do you have like 3 or 5 trainers with you, or is it just you right now? Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think I saw that on your website. That's phenomenal, right? So you get really familiar with their business. No different than going in a date, for example, and talking about her where she went to college, where she grew up, she's studying, or what is her career, right? It's very surface level, easy to understand, right? You don't have to be intimate to really share those stuff, right? A doctor, getting physical measurements, right? How tall are you? How much do you weigh right now? Right? Dental hygiene, like getting an understanding. How often do you brush your teeth? Right? These are very easy conversational starters, right? To ease themselves into it. Now we get kind of deeper into it and gradually go into um, right, we go down into it and start digging a bit. This is where we start turning it into marketing, right? Then we get specific, we probe, and that's where we start to find problems. Okay, so say got it. So with that all in mind, what are you currently doing right now to get more PT clients, since that's what you're looking for? Like, are you running paid ads in Los Angeles on Facebook and Instagram, or even Google, or just relying on referrals right now, right? And depending on what they say, that's where you kind of go from there. It's like, okay, from your perspective as an owner, what would you say is the biggest bottleneck in your marketing? For example, are you just not getting enough leads, enough, appointments on your calendar? Or you are getting enough volume, but they're just not the right fit right now, low quality leads. You're trying to understand what kind of issue they're running, because usually what I find, at least, is that there are three different types of issues business owners, including us, run into. So there's lead volume, simply not enough leads being captured and popping on their calendar, right? Most of the time, that's why you guys are here if you're working with me. Lead quality, you're getting enough appointments, but the quality is not good enough, right? And ultimately, you feel like you're wasting a lot of time on there. Or it's, hey, we're getting enough leads, we're getting from the right people, but for some reason, they are not converting, right? They're not converting, okay? And I'll talk more about this table we call a 9x9, also made by my mentor and coach, Paul Daley. Shout out to him in a second. But usually you're looking for these three things. I like to just say these two things because it's pretty easy to understand. Like, is it the quality or is it the volume of leads, right? And with that said, you can kind of dive into their problems. Like, okay, so with the lack of leads in mind, say it's a volume thing. So with the lack of leads and volume of it in mind, do you at least like the current marketing with referrals right now? It's like, yeah, it's pretty good. So this is my friend John Mal, shout out to him, one of the best closers, at least right now, of the modern times in online space. Oh, what just happened? Okay. Um, One of my favorite things I took away from him is his roadmap. So literally just saying exactly the same thing. Like, what do you at least like about it right now? It's like, yeah, I like it. It's not bad. It's helped me gotten to me where I'm at. I just need a little bit more leads. It's like, okay, got it. So you can break it down a little bit more. It's like, okay, it doesn't sound too bad. Would there be anything you would change outside the process or even the outcome if you could? Like, what we mean is like the paid ads that you're currently running, or the amount of leads if you could. It's like, and then you can basically go from there. It's like you can either give a problem, like maybe you just want more time as an owner, don't want to work as much, and then just kind of clarify to me, like, what does that look like for you if we were able to help, right? Or it's obviously going to be outcome based, right? And if someone says like, yeah, paid ads is working well, it's like, okay, well, what's the reason you're looking for a marketing company like mine to be transparent, rather than just doubling down on what's currently working? 9 times out of 10, they're going to go ahead and say like, yeah, well, you know we just feel like there's something better out there. It's like, oh, can you clarify what you mean by better, like better leads, again, just higher quality? It's like, are you just not hitting the kind of workflow or the lead flow you're looking for, right? And that gets them to open up the problem, and then you kind of want to dive deeper into the cause of it. Okay, so you can definitely follow this workflow for my friend again, John Mao. But that's where usually you can start probing a lot more. It's like, how long has this been an issue of lack of lead quality, right? So once we turn here, I'm gonna grab this pen. So once we turn this problem once we found this problem, we can turn this problem into a pain, right? By just simply asking better questions about it and probe. How long has this been an issue? Yeah, we've been trying to fix this for the last 90 days, but it's honestly been stagnant. Like, what else have you tried to fix this problem aside from paid ads? Like, have you hired a marketing company before? They say yes, you dive into it. well, how come it didn't work out with them? Well, how come you're searching for someone else like me? See if we can help, right? Really, you're helping them understand that what they're currently doing right now won't work. So once you get this problem, again, turn it into a pain. No different than, you know, a doctor diagnosing you and, you have lower back problem, right? That's a problem, right? But now we talk about the pain. How's that been affecting you at work? Oh, sitting down here, I can barely focus on my meetings. When I work out, oh my gosh, I can't lift as much as I used to. I'm a powerlifter, by the way, so that really stings if that happened to me. It actually did happen to me. My and that wasn't my lower back, but my shoulder. It actually prevented me from even doing a push up. And when you someone's serious about powerlifting like me and fitness, you can bench like 260 right without injury and go to doing zero push ups. It's kind of a hurtful feeling, right? So you understand like there's that problem, but you want to bring that to the surface and kind of talk about pain. And that's where we gonna get this gold, right? We get this gold right here. Now it's time to capitalize it with where we are here. So that's where you go deeper, right? Hence why we call it deep discovery. You go deeper, and what you want to do is leverage what they're saying to you to their goals. Now, the big thing is you don't want to say, so where do you want to be, right? That kind of just hurts it. It's not, you can't just want something. You got to give it a need, right? Tell them, like, how come we need to be here? Like, why does it feel like we need to burn the boats, go all in on this mission, on this goal, right? So the way we do that is we place an identity on their future goals. Okay, so that's where we say things like, "Hey, so with that all said, obviously you want to get to a better place. So where do you feel like you should be in the next 3 months right now? Right now, you said you're at 15 PT clients. Where do you feel like this be? Doubled, tripled, even? Right? Man, I feel like I should be. When they say that, it's a should. It's like a guilt. It's like a a cognitive dissonance that they aren't where they feel like they need to be. Right? Literally. And then this is where we can start kind of breaking their drawbridge if we want to be a savage, honestly, and just say like, okay, well, ultimately in the next 3 months to get to say 30 PT clients, right, double what you're doing. Do you feel like with what you're currently doing with paid ads will get you there? And that's obviously where we kind of break them their drawbridge, and they're gonna say, "No, I'm definitely not where I feel like I should be right now, man. Like that's why I'm here." That's usually where they protect their ego and say, "Yeah, that's why I'm on this call with you, man. I wouldn't be here otherwise. How can you help me?" And that's a great sign that they realize, their drawbridge just snapped, and they need a new drawbridge to get to from point A to point B. Okay. Now, the other thing we can do is add some urgency to this problem. What I like to say, and it's a great way to make sure you don't sound salesy. I'll also show you what my coach says too at the end of this. Um, but basically, what I say is like, okay, got it, and this definitely seems like a very urgent matter. But just so I'm running at your pace, how soon are you looking to tackle your marketing issue? Like, is this a now thing, or let's focus on this a month? And I sometimes justify it to transparently say like, I had someone say that they are going on a trip for a month. I'm like, okay, come back, right? And then usually they're going to be like, no, 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 I'm not going on a trip. I'm locked in. I'm focused. I need to focus on this now and get this over with, or like, and get this taken care of because my business can't move forward without it. So that's where I develop urgency. Now, in my old six phases to yes, we have different zones that you can hop into, right? So you can talk about the vision, right? Where they feel like, again, they should be. Why is it personally important to them? Help them widen that gap, right? From where they are to where they want to be or should be. Get clear on numbers. So don't just take things where they say, yeah, we're doing good, right? Don't just take those um, and just say, oh, okay. No, get clear. It's like, okay, do you know exactly your cost per lead or cost per appointment right now? And like obviously the conversions off that. Like what's your closing rate? Um, right? We gather situational background and context as to like where they are at. Maybe it's because they tried so many agency owners in the past. That's something great we can probe on. And again, find the immediate pain because they want to solve a pain that's now rather than a pain opposed in the future. Okay. And then likewise with the urgency, create that deep need to and desire to change their state, right? When I had that shoulder injury, like I said, obviously I wanted to bench 260 again, like immediately, right? the doctor asked us like, how soon are you looking to do this? He just asked me like, when's my next meet? I'm said it's March right now, and I'm planning to do this end of May. I need to be good in the next 45 to 60 days if that's possible. And low key, he got me sold. um, create doubt as to why they aren't getting the results they want. And if you are going to give insights on an intro call, don't um do something that I like to do in the gym. Whenever I see someone who has bad form or I feel like I can offer some good insights, what I like to do is ask a permission based question. So, permission based question, just a little side exercise here, is when someone says something that they shouldn't do, like say boost posts to generate like leads, and they call it ads. Of course, we know it's a tripwire. Instead of just saying don't do boost posts, that sucks, right? And kind of confront them. Um, Make sure that you ask a permission based question. It's like, hey, that's actually interesting. Is it cool if I shine some light on that, or is it cool if I share some concerns about that? Is it cool if I share some observations on that whenever I tried that? People would be more open minded because they'll say, yeah, sure, show me what you mean, or yeah, go ahead. That's why I'm on the call. Now they're more consciously listening to you, to your suggestion, and they'll take it with more consideration. Okay. So that's from the old Six of Spades of CES. You can leverage that as well. I'll dive into this lastly here. But basically, this sketch, I've been waiting to do this. Um, it's my favorite all time sketch. So this is your prospect. This is you, right? And this is your prospect on the fence. Ah, sounds familiar. On the fence about whether to move forward with you or to go back to their old side of the fence, right? And so you're just waving here. Yeah, I got you, man. Come over here. It's okay. It's not a big drop. I got you. It's a better side on. Grass is greener on this side. Whatever. Um, Now there's two different arrows, right? You have this arrow, the blue one, and then the green one here. So this blue arrow signals external. I'm just gonna write external urgency, right? And then this one is internal urgency. So the reason why this is external is because this is something that pushes people to move forward with you, but it's external. So, for example, you got stuff like guarantees, you got urgency, like ends today, offer ends today, scarcity, right? Like one location, like one client per location, right? Offers, right? Same thing. So those are all external things that move people forward, right? It pushes them to move forward with you, right? That's all good. Definitely leverage it. It obviously helps capture appointments and get people's attention. But in sales, the number one thing that should make people move forward again is internal urgency. They personally choose to move forward with you, right? They internally say, you know what? I don't care if you have a testimonial. I don't care if you have guarantee. I want to move forward with you. And the reason why people would move forward with you 9 times out of 10 is because they feel A, you understand their problems. I'll talk more about that later. B, you know how to get them to their desired outcome, right? If the reason why you probably hop on board with me if you're working with me on the DMs is because you ultimately feel like we can help you get more qualified appointments, get you more appointments on your calendar done for you, right? So that's ultimately why you move forward with us. It's an internal decision. And you can see it makes you or makes the prospect a better client because they're not hanging on to a guarantee, right? Just because they move forward with you via external urgency doesn't mean that they were clenching their fist, not wanting to leave. That's where chargebacks happen most of the time. It's because they weren't fully sold yet. They were just pushed to move forward with you. Okay. So this is a huge distinction. And again, the way we get this to happen is through high quality questions. High quality questions here, right? Understanding their pain. And so the biggest thing I like to share, and I'll get to this last part, is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Let me write that here. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's one of my favorite lines. Honestly, if someone asks me what's my favorite tip in sales, it's this. because you don't care. You don't care. They don't care how much you know as a doctor. They don't until they feel like, hey, this doctor can help me. Okay. And so this is something I call the 9x9, again, by Paul Daley, my mentor, that we recently developed, at least when I make this video, to help you and your client or closers and your setters understand how to make people, your prospects, feel understood. Right. So one of the things, just to kind of give a preface before I dive into this, is one of the best thing about how to get a salesperson ramped up is how much they can know about the prospect, right? So one of the issues is following the same script, right? Because here's the issue: we're not talking to the same person all the time. The person might be at a different revenue level, whether it's 0 to 5K. They might be at 5K to 30K. They might be at 30K plus, right? And it will be different for your industry, of course. They might have different current states, like they might not know the real problem to their business. They might be just busy. They might be managing a team, current state. They might have different future states and goals that they want to hit. They just want to hit 5 to 10K. They want to quit their current job. Maybe they just want consistency. Maybe they are looking to build a team soon so they're not the only ones doing the front end and back end, right? Maybe they already have a great team, but they're looking to exit soon and they need to build some consistency, right? These are all different, what we call playing cards, identities. So, first thing is understand who you're talking to, right? Everyone has different problems, right? You can see that this is for you guys. When I talk to agency owners, this is what I'm looking at, right? Whether you're here, most of you guys are trying to quit your job, trying to quit school, hit their first 5 to 10K, right? Or you're here, right? Most of you guys we're working with are between 10 to 100K plus, okay? Now, with that said, this is where it becomes a 9x9. Every problem, everyone is solving a different problem, okay? It just looks different to the person. So there's three problems again people are trying to solve: lead volume, not having enough leads; lead quality, not having enough quality of leads, right? And then lead nurture. So those are the three problems people are trying to solve. Now, with this said, I'm going to go into this granular cells here. But the last thing I want to share with you on this row is everyone has a different way of being sold. So, for example, those who are at 0 to 5K, they want to be sold the vision. They want to be sold the dream. They want to be sold that there's a likelihood of achieving their dream with your service. Okay. And the reason I say this is because they don't know what it's like to have this problem yet at 10K, at 50K churn, right? Losing team members, not just clients. So you can't sell them on that they haven't felt yet, right? So if you're like new in the gym, I'm going to be talking about how we can get you a six pack, how we can get you to your first, adding 5 to 10 muscles or losing 20 pounds, right? You're naive to the problem. I hate to say it that way. I'm sorry if that hurt you. But don't know it. It's like in the army when you sign up to join the war. You're naive to the problem. Everyone's like what we call super hoorah because you're like, yeah, we're gonna go attack, kill the enemy. We're gonna be heroes. We're gonna be remembered for this, right? You're naive to the problem. You haven't experienced bullets flying at you yet, right? Then you got tier two, right? These are the more seasoned people, right? They're maybe still running lean, but they have clients, but they're probably feeling a different problem, which is churn. So the way you sell to them is more on math and ROI. Same with the established people, right? Quality of appointments, right? Helping them with time, selling them scale, right? Still selling them the dream, but also selling them on minimizing pain and regression, going backwards. Okay. And then, of course, tier two, it's more about math, buying back time, consistency, diversifying. So if something breaks, you're not going to regress. They're going to be okay, right? And now this is where if you finally understand it, now depending on who you're talking to and what the problem is, helps you understand, like coordinates, how you need to talk to them. What kind of language you need to have. So let's just say out of the blue, you are a tier two, you're at 10K a month, right? You have this state right now, you're focused on growing and scaling, but not going backwards. And let's just say your problem is lead volume. So with that said, you go here, and this is where the problem is you just need more and more leads on top of what you're currently doing. So the way I would talk to you is say, yeah, we just need to add more fuel to the fire for you to keep scaling and getting more clients. seems like a good time for you to turn on the volume of leads so your calendar is filled every day because you got fulfillment dialing in day by day, right? Because it got clients. Yeah, at your stage, definitely seems like you just need to be on more sales calls and not doing your own outreach anymore. And that's where you can definitely share some great analogies as well. Again, if you have closers, SDRs that you're ramping up, this is how you should give them a script, because now they just need to recognize, again, who they are talking to and what really problem they're looking to solve, right? So let's just say it wasn't a lead problem. Maybe it was a lead quality issue. So it's like, yeah, it just seems like we need to get you in front of the right prospects in med spas so that you're not wasting time with tire kickers. Yeah, I definitely don't want you taking on every lead you get. So you don't have, so maybe having another dimension to your outreach could help increase the amount of quality of leads you speak with, right? But if I was talking to, say, someone who has an established team, I might lump in the fact that, hey, yeah, with or done for you, you don't have to build this all yourself. Figure out how to get your team and yourself more clients that are going to stay with you long term. Different conversation because I'm talking to someone else, right? So this is a huge thing you guys want to develop. It really took me 2 hours to make, but once you make it, now it's easy to just dial it into your setters, your closers brain, and also for yourself. I remember my closer and my setter, who've been with me for 3 6 months. Once I showed them this, they were like, "Oh my gosh, why didn't you give this to me sooner?" I'm like, "I just learned about this, dude. I'm sorry." But yeah, they're super grateful for it now because literally this is their script. They know to go through the intro, the demo, like intro phase, the discovery phase, but this really helps them understand like how to make people feel understood. It's like, yeah, man, if you can do that for me, I'll sign up with you guys. Boom, easy. So, this is a great one. If you have questions about the deep discovery, let me know. This is, again, one of the biggest parts to sales because, again, this is where people understand they have a problem. They have a problem to solve, and the odds are you are most likely the person to solve it. So that's where we dive into phase three, transitioning it so that you can share how you can help them and let them know that you feel like you can help them, and then also preventing other objections. So I look forward to sharing with you more sauce on those calls. Yo, yo, yo. So it's phase three. If you're doing a 2 call process, this is technically the last phase of the intro call. If you're doing a 2 call, if you're doing 1 call close, this is obviously the transition to the pitch, right? So, anyways, this is phase three. A lot of people skip out on this. This is easily overlooked. So I'm hoping that you pay close attention so that you can prevent objections, right? Before we handle objections on phase six, you want to prevent objections, okay? So, number one, you want to make them feel understood by summarizing what they shared and make sure that you got it right. So, in other words, if I role play and monologue this, I would say, hey, just to make sure I got everything right, and I want to appreciate you for, kind of diving deep into what you've been experiencing in your business. Right now, you're trying to get more leads. Obviously, you got paid ads going on, but you feel like you can do way more, which is why you want our SEO system to get inbound leads. You've been doing this for 90 days, and your goal for the last 90 days and going into the next 90 is to get double the amount of PT clients you're getting from 15 to 30. Does that kind of sum it up correctly? And again, this is obviously helpful when you can say it using this. It's like, yeah, just seems like we need to add more fuel to the fire and keep you scaling, getting your clients, right? Depending on their, again, identity card and what kind of problem they currently have. So yeah, you make them feel understood. If they say, yeah, absolutely, that's exactly why I'm here. I would love to know exactly how you can help me, guys. So cool. Well, now what you want to do is state that you believe that you can help them. You just want to have them say that to you. So usually I like to say on my calls, it's a little funny. It's like, awesome. Yeah, I totally believe it's a green light, that we can help you. I personally just want you to be the one to say that on the next call. So let's go ahead and schedule a second call. Let's have it over Zoom, 30 minutes, on our laptops so that we're ready to kind of dive in and, collaborate and see if this makes sense. Cool. Cool. And then you just schedule them. You figure out a time that works. Pull up your calendar. Have them too, of course. And then the biggest thing is, prevent the objections, right? So ask if they have a partner, spouse, ops manager who should hop on too if they do. And I'm like, okay, awesome. We can definitely schedule them for tomorrow at 5 p.m. It seems. Now, is there anyone else who should collaborate with us over Zoom on this meeting, like a business partner, manager, or even a spouse you usually get support from? So I'm going to dive into detail. Why do we say this specifically? You do not want to just say, hey, is there anyone else? Is there another decision maker who should hop on? If they are the only business partner or the business owner, there's no business partner, then they'll just say, yeah, it's me. I make the decisions. if someone says in a nice way, like, hey, and you might have said this to me too, I swear to God, if you said, like, hey, I do have a business partner, but they usually go with the same decision as me, still get them on. Still get them on. Because the chances are they're going to be like, hey, this is great. I'm going to definitely get my business partner on the same page. He'll most likely move forward. But yeah, let me just talk to him first, and then I'll go. Oh, I'm like, bro, like if he's on board, and if he's on board because you're on board and you are on board, let's get the ball rolling. So um, make sure that they are on the call so that they are on the same page too, right? And the reason why we say spouse is because some people go to their spouse, their pillow, their goldfish for support, right? It's like and that's why we like to say, or even a spouse you like to get support from, because sometimes yes, you don't need to make decision, right, to from your spouse for your own business, but sometimes people like the idea of getting support from their spouse. As silly as it is, we want to make sure everyone is there, right? So if they do say yes, try to get them on. um, if you don't get them on, you will know that you will have a third call coming your way, because chances are they'll go to them, right, no matter what decision it is. Okay, just letting you know. Then what we do is double down on the urgency to make sure that this Zoom call is a buying decision, right? If you go back here, we already added some urgency to say, like, hey, how soon are you looking to tackle this? 9 times out of 10, if you do a good intro call, they are going to say, as soon as possible. I wish I solved this yesterday. That's where we want to double down and say, cool. Well, Paul, I guess this is my last question today, just to make sure that I think that you're a good fit for what we do, and I'm excited to walk you through everything, break it down easily, and answer your questions on the next call tomorrow. My last question, I just really wanted to make sure, is like, on that call, would it be out of this world to think you'd be ready to rock tomorrow if everything made sense? You see how we can bring in ROI. And again, you want to double down and say, hey, Marcus, I'm totally down. As long as the investment makes sense, we can definitely get something going ASAP. It's like, okay, cool. Making sure I'm on the same page. Cool. Then what you want to do is give them your pre-call page. So this is part about nurturing and convincing them that you still are the right option, right? So give them your pre-call page, right? We talk about that in a separate video. So what I like to say, awesome. Now, again, before we hop off here and meet tomorrow at 5 p.m., I'm going to send you this pre-call page link. I just sent it via text. Did you get it? Awesome. So give the first video a watch. It has also my case studies below it, so you can check those out too, and how we've helped similar businesses. But ultimately, that first video, it's only 5 minutes, and it will make our call go 110% smooth, because it'll help you understand who we are again, what we do, and ultimately how we help similar businesses like yours reach the exact same goals, right? How we can get you from 10 to 30 PT clients. Cool if you watch that before our call tomorrow. Sweet. I appreciate it, man. And you can also gaslight them a little bit with their ego and be like, I knew you're someone who's an action taker. Dude, I don't say this. I try not to, um, because it come off flattering, but I really love it when I work with people who are go getters, who are really serious about this. And they're like, yeah, man, no, I'm that kind of person, man. I'll show up tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll be good. So that's the intro call phase. Now I'm gonna kind of drop some sauce here, that I didn't mean to, but the night before the demo call, the second call, what I like to do is drop the confirmation text saying, "Hey, let's just say Bob, it's Marcus. Just confirmed our meeting for tomorrow." Right. So the reason I send this message is because it's the last thing they'll see as a reminder. I send this manually still to this day, by the way. I send it to them at the end of their night. So it's the last thing before they end their work and before they go to bed, right? The last thing. This is basically psychology for recency. They can either say, "Yep, looking forward to it," or they can say, "Oops," or they can say nothing, or they don't respond, right? That's funny. Okay, so or they don't respond. So based off that, this also helps me know if they are shit serious. Um, Morning of the call, right? That's where you if responded, then that's where you can simply say, awesome, looking forward to it, right? The reason why we do this is you don't want to respond back, is so that you can respond that later, as if you missed it, right? And then if they did not respond, right? Second one, if they did not respond, then you say, hey, name, just double confirming. You might know that I did this too. Just double confirming you're good for today. I don't actually personally don't like saying the time of the call because a lot of times it helps me understand how serious they are about this too. It's like sometimes they'll be like, "Yeah, what time though?" I'm like, "You don't have your own calendar, dude." It's like, "Yeah, it's at 5 p.m. Did you get this also added to your Google Calendar?" It's like, right. So that's a little side tip I like to do there. Yeah, that's basically phase three transition to the demo call and preventing as many objections as you can. All right, so we are in phase four, the first part of the demo, which is the actual pitch itself. So, I have a pitch deck I use. Sometimes people don't use pitch decks, maybe Google document, or a proposal. That's totally cool. So, what I want to do here is a little bit different than the last six phases to the yes, phase four that I made, and basically just give you the frameworks. Okay, so here's the thing. When you hop on a pitch deck, don't just go straight to your presentation, please. Just don't do that. This is not a presentation, this is a collaboration. Now, the first thing you want to do is restate the pain that you've uncovered from the discovery phase. So, everything that you figured out from them that you take notes, you go into here, right? Kind of like a nurse diagnosing you and then the doctor coming in and saying, okay, what are we looking at here? Okay, so you have a lower back pain and you're a power lifter, right? So you go dive into it and you want to bring it back to the surface. Maybe the call was booked from Monday and today's Friday. So it's been 4 days since I remember it, right? A lot can go through it. And then from there, you can reconfirm urgency again. It's like, hey, man, just to make sure I'm on the same page again. Like, if everything's on like right, is this like a something you want to take care of today and you'll be ready to rock today? It's like, yeah, right. So you can definitely reconfirm that. Um, a lot of times, and this is a lot more salesy, and can have some pushback depending on how you deliver it to and who you're talking to. But yeah, I usually you can also say like, hey, yeah, the reason I asked that is because it can go either three ways. We can partner, which is great, makes sense, right? We're on the same page. You can either say no, this isn't the right thing for me. Actually, didn't think of it. It's like okay, no worries, that's totally fine. Or you can tell me maybe, which kind of assures me that you're uncertain about this, and obviously we would need to uncover why that is the case, right? So you can do the three ways that this call can go. That's totally fine. Set the agenda again. Tell them how this call is going to go. Like, hey, I'm going to show you everything from A to Z. First, I'm going to show you this so you can kind of see exactly how we do this for other clients and other business owners like yourself. Then I'm going to break it down A to Z, how we do this step by step, kind of like pulling back the curtains. So you can kind of share how you're going to take it so that they can ease into it, um, and know what is coming ahead. I got a major cough. 1 second. So now here's the thing. We need to make sure that there's 10 on 10 on three things. Number one is yourself, right? You, the owner, or you, the closer, if you're watching this. The second thing is your company, culture, fit, vibes. Trust me, I've had a lot of people not move forward because we just weren't aligned, and that's okay. Some people were actually crazy clients. We didn't move forward because of it. But you got to be 10 out of 10 on your culture and company. The third thing, which is the most important one, results, right? Make your results no brainer. Like they absolutely can see how it's an ROI. So now you can do this in again a what we call a pitch deck form, right? And if you need a pitch deck or want to revamp one and you want mine, be my guest. I can give you mine. I've given it to hundreds of agencies. They close hundreds of deals with it. So it's been phenomenal. So you can kind of see how I broke it down from, again, setting the agenda, what it looks like if we partnered, setting the foundation. So again, selling who I am, uh, our testimonials, you know, and by the way, like we worked with everyone in the fitness. So if I was talking to a personal trainer solely, I would focus on personal trainers and their story mostly, not like CrossFit gyms like this person. Then from there, you want to break it down, how you do this, right? And I'll go back here really quick. When you break it down, check in with them, right? So you're not just rolling through like a monologue. Like you want to check in with them and say, like, hey, does this make sense? Hey, do you see a good vibe with who we are as a company and where we start? Be like, yeah, man, that's really cool how you actually were a personal trainer yourself. And it's cool that you're working with only fitness trainers. That's what I'm looking for. I love the fact that you're very lean, very communicative. I'm excited to kind of see how this works. Or you're here and you're like, yeah, before I dive into the actual system, do you have any questions or what questions do you have for me regarding the people we're currently helping with? It's like, yeah, I had a question about Angel, or like, here, like, do you have a question about how we set up the ads and how it looks like, right? So make sure to check in with them. They're like little small checkpoints in this race to make sure that they're on the same page, that they are saying yes. It's like little jabs in boxing, right? It adds up when they say, yeah, I like this. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I see how that works. So make sure you keep asking and checking in with them, okay? And so from there, right, you go through the process, answer their questions. That's where you've reached phase 5, basically the trial close. So before you drop price, I'm going to talk about trial close in the next video. All right, so phase 5, the trial close. So just like phase 3, this one is also overlooked a ton on the sales call, on the buying decision call. I had a lot of people actually watch the original 6 phases to a yes the first time I made it around. And a lot of people, even at 50K or even at 100K, realize they aren't doing this and that they should be doing it. And it has helped them land more deals, or help their closers land more deals. So the trial close is basically right before we drop the price, but also right after we pitch them the service and how we communicate them, how we deliver it, how we can help them get to where they feel like, again, they should be. So this is, again, before we drop price, we need to do a quick temperature check, as some people may call it, on if they're ready to buy. Because the ultimate goal of this is to make sure the only thing on their mind when you drop the price should be, can I afford this? Yes or no. That's the only thing on their mind, right? It's not, how does this work again? How do you communicate with me? Or it's not, should I do this? Should I not do it? Right? They're debating on whether this is the right thing or not. Their only thing should be, yes, I want to move forward, right? Can I afford this or not? Or do I need to make installments? So this is the way we do this, is through a 3-question process. Question number 1 basically is saying, do you have any questions? Now, we don't want to say it that way, because if you say that way, everyone is instinctual or conditioned to say no questions, right? You go to a person in a store, it's like, yeah, like, are you guys looking for anything? 9 times out of 10, people are polite to say no. When you do an assumptive question, where you say which or what, that makes them think harder for questions. So, for example, when you go to a store like Old Navy and try to look for clothes, people might say, "Yeah, what are you currently looking? What are you looking for right now?" Like, um, or when you go to Foot Locker, it's like, hey, which shoes are you looking for right now? Sneakers, basketball shoes, right? They're planting an assumptive that you're there to actually look for something. So we do the same thing and say, hey, what questions do you have for me? Or personally, informal, full sense, full version, I say, yeah, awesome. So I know this can take a lot in one sitting to process and understand. So what questions do you have for me? Or I also like to say, funnily enough, like, yeah, I know this isn't rocket science. It's here to really help you, all done for you, but just to make sure, what questions you have for me, right? And even if they quickly say, yeah, I don't have any questions. Like, are you sure? Like, this part made sense, how we service you, how we run the ads, how we communicate. Like, yeah, that all makes sense. I appreciate it. Then we dive into number 2. Question number 2 is, you know, was this everything you were hoping for in a system, and what you're expecting in a system to get you from point A to point B, from 15 PT clients to 30 clients in the next 3 months, right? Your goal. Now, the equivalent to this question that a lot of people use, and honestly, it's so salesy, is, yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you absolutely wish you can punch me through through your laptop right now, don't want to see me again, and number 10, and 10 being you love me and almost think about getting married with me. No, I'm joking, but 10 being like, this is absolutely the right thing. Where do you land? And don't say 7, right? A lot of people do that. A lot of people, if I did that to you, you'd be rolling your eyes like, oh, this question, right? Some people answer honestly and say 8 out of 9. That's cool. Some people will say 7 and try to get away with it, right? It's too salesy, right? Especially in this day and age. So what I like to do is make it, instead of quantitative, literally on scale, I like to listen to their tone to my prompt here. So I say, hey, was this everything you were expecting in a system to get you from 15 PT clients to 30 PT clients in the next 90 days here, right? And so 9 times out of 10, they're gonna still say yes, right? If someone says no, well, at least they're being honest. You go back into that pitch, they can be like, okay, where did I fall flat? But if they're saying yes, it's either two ways. It's like, yeah, this seems like a good fit, and then the other yes, yeah, this is absolutely the right thing. I honestly was looking forward to this, and I'm really excited to kind of see how we can move forward. I just want to know the price, really. It's like you can hear the difference in the tone and how I'm answering it. One's more confident, the other one, the first one, was a polite yes, but I am not sold. I am concerned, right? If that first yes happens where they're 6 and below, right? If we put this on a scale, 6 and below, and they're like, yeah, I can see how this works. Um, then you need to double down and say, awesome. So you absolutely see how, we can get you from 15 clients to 30 clients because maybe the ads work, right? You just basically reword it, but be more specific. And then you're giving them a second out, right? You're selling them, hey, are you sure? And then that's where they're gonna be like, well, I do have one concern, like about this part. And then you just dive into it, right? You got to uncover it. The whole point of this is because they wouldn't have been sold if you dropped the price right there. They're not going to say yes. They're not going to move forward yet. Okay, so question number 3. This one's a little bit harder, even harder for me to be transparent. Like sometimes I personally actually don't do this, but I should. Is basically asking them, well, why? Because the whole goal here is to help them sell themselves on why they want to move forward with you. Now, you can't just simply say, why do you want to move forward, right? It's too abrupt, it's too upfront. We all know what you're doing, right? So what I like to say is, and I honestly take full credit. I don't know. I actually did this myself. I told my mentor this, and he was like, "Whoa, I'm gonna take that from you, Marcus." So I'll brag about it all my life. But basically, it's like saying, "Awesome." And just before we dive into the investment, see if this makes sense. What spoke out to you uniquely about our system? You're obviously someone I love to work with, and I hope I get more people on my ads. Talking to people like you. So I'd love feedback from your perspective. Like, what spoke out to you uniquely about what we do? And so I position it as feedback, like a survey. And then that's where they still say the same thing. Like, well, what really stood out to me and why I like this is that you actually do this with the AI, and I've never seen anyone do. Like, I'm just like, yeah, that's good feedback. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, keep selling yourself. So that's the question 3. So we do that, right? What questions do you have for me? What was this everything you were expecting and hoping for in a system to get you from point A to point B in Y time? And question 3, was this everything, what spoke out to you uniquely about what we do? Always looking for feedback. Okay. By the way, if they ever ask like here, like what question they have for me, it's like, no, I just have the price. You just confidently in one sentence say, yeah, we'll definitely dive into it. But before that, I just wanted to ask, was this everything you were expecting in a system? You just kind of get straight into it. Okay. Then from there, you drop price with confidence, and then shut up. Now, I will add one last thing here about price, right? Um, a confused buyer never buys. Confused buyer never buys. So how do you confuse them? You talk too fast. You have too many figures, right? The best price is one figure, right? If you just say, "Hey, moving forward, it's just 6,000." It's hey, moving forward, it's 10,000 for the entire 3-month plan, right? That's the best price. The second is 2 figures, right? You can kind of go on. Maybe you're saying it's 1,500 a month plus 50 a day in ad spend, right? And then if you are doing 3 tiers, say you're doing like basic plus premium, whatever, I'm just making this up. What you want to do is recommend best option for them and where they're at, right? And then they can also help you tell you like, hey, I don't have the money for the premium, so maybe the plus makes sense, right? But you want to recommend it. No different than a doctor recommending a drug and the dosage. It's like, hey, based off your problem, this is there's 3 different types, right? That you can do. But personally, I recommend this one because your current problem is this, right? Um, Heck, you can even be transparent. Be like, hey, most people at your level of your business don't go to the premium just yet with all this extra fluff, right? Um, Focus on the foundation with the plus. So I recommend that we go with this option. It's only 1,500 and the ad spend is only 50 a day. Whereas in the premium, it's 150 a day on ad spend. But let me know which option sounds best to you. So like you don't say, do you like any option? You say again, which option? So again, we're planting this option. Which option sounds best to you though? And sometimes again they'll take your initiative and go with that. So make sure though you can try to distill it to 1 figure or less figures. If you are going to do a tier, then do recommend the best option and then end it with like, with that all said though, which option as an owner yourself sounds best to you. And then yeah, from there you just go into it and say, awesome, let's go ahead and move forward. I'm excited to get you going. But if they give you objections, then we dive into phase 6. And so I'll see you on the next video to talk more about that. All right, so we are in the objection handling phase if needed. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. There's going to be three types of objections people throw out to you, right? Don't confuse it for thousands of objections, hundreds of different ways to handle it. There's only three types of objections, okay? Number one is logistical, meaning they genuinely want to move forward with you, but something's up. And it's usually either time, like, hey, let's move forward, but I need to wait for payments to come in next week. I get paid always on the first of the month, and I just want to wait for that cash flow to kick in. That's totally cool, but I want to move forward, right? They don't have the full 5,000 or 10,000, whatever your product is. The second is time, right? Another part about time is, hey, I do want to get this going. I'll just be on a honeymoon trip for the next 2 weeks, and then when I want to get started from there. Is that possible? Right? And that makes sense because obviously, what are they going to do? They're not going to close deals when they're on a honeymoon, bro. Okay, trust me, I get that a lot from you guys. Believe it or not, like 4 times, I in my all around. The other second one is smokescreen. So they're just being polite. Usually, those are the ones who say like, "I need to sleep on it" or "I need to think about it." And then emotions and fears. They're also saying, "I need to think about it. I need to do something about it." But I'll talk about the huge distinction behind it is, and I'll just share with you right now is inconsistency in what they're saying, right? Some of these guys, they'll be like quick to say, yeah, I just need to really, do my diligence, check on other things. Um, you know, again, so if it's logistical, right, it's basically a money thing or a time thing or a partner thing. But again, we eliminate the partner objection because we already asked them, right? So here's what you need to do. What you need to do is do what we call tie downs. So tie downs are a way to signal and uncover whether it's one of these three. Okay, which of the three, I should say. But before we do that, you need to diffuse them. Their cortisol is high again, right? Their heart's beating fast. They got their guard up because they basically just told you no. So you need to be on their same page and just cool them down a bit. It's like, hey, no worries, totally understand, totally get it. I'm on the same page. So again, let's go ahead and discover whether it is, right? Um, so this is a screenshot of a document I made. So basically, step one is to tie them down now. So tie down is basically, again, discovering us like aside from the current problem, do they really want to move forward, right? So if they say it's a money thing, then we're saying, hey, before we dive into the topic about like finances, because that's a separate conversation, how do you feel again about the program, and ultimately, do you feel like it's still going to help you get you to from 15 to 30 clients in the next 3 months, right? And like, yeah, I totally get it. I totally love it, man. It's really gonna help me. So what we do is like a shoe, if we want to make sure it doesn't fall, it doesn't untie, is double knot it, right? So we tie down again. It's like got it, and just so on the same page, you're not debating on whether this is the right thing or not. It's more like how can you make this happen given your current finances and resources. So yeah, okay, if that's the case, which it totally sounds like, we can definitely create a payment plan and just discover what we can do. If it's a timing thing, you can definitely go in here and be like, yeah, so just to make sure I'm on the same page, because it just seems like a more timing thing. And sometimes I throw in humor. I'm like, man, we should have talked 2 weeks later. It's like, yeah, man. So I'm joking. Um, you would have totally been on the same page if you were ready to rock and roll, get more clients, and obviously take those calls, right? But you just got this vacation up coming up in the next week. So yeah, okay. And ultimately, it's not like, again, you do the same thing, tie down to him. Because what you want to do is if they say, well, it's actually this, guess what? You just uncovered that what would have been a logistical issue was actually a smokescreen. Then you have to uncover it. To be honest, those are the hardest to win because they just told you straight up that they're lying. But at least you uncovered it to win another day. Maybe it requires a follow up call, right? Who knows? But if it is a timing thing, then you can do a down payment and say, hey, no worries. So again, like I said, it takes roughly like 7 to 10 days for us to get ramped up. What we can do is a quick down payment of 300. We can cover the rest later when you're ready to get going. Or like say when you're doing waiting for cash to come in the next couple days or weeks. So yeah, no worries. But don't want when you collect payment to be a reason why you don't get more clients. Reaches the whole point why we're here. So what we can do is do a quick down payment of just 200, so we can get the system rolling. And it's like, and then I just ask, is that something you can do? 9 times out of 10, people should say yes, because if you don't have 200, you don't have a business, man. Come on. So yeah, totally doing that. Now, the way you know it's fear, again, is that there's inconsistency in what they're saying. So you can really understand it if they're saying things that just don't make sense. For example, here, let me actually go here. So it's like they say, this is exactly what we need, just don't think we should do it right now. This will solve our problem, but I need to think about it. I had someone, a client of mine, an agency owner, he literally had the person say, I'm sold, I'm sold, I'm sold, three times, literally. And then right when he has to pay, he's like, is it cool if I take care of this tomorrow? You can tell it was just straight up fear. Um, and so that's where you got to handle that. So let me actually pull up the document itself and talk about how we handle it. Okay. So this is actually made by my former mentor and coach, Sergio Travarez, who helped hundreds of agencies hit 100K. Cool. So basically, if it's fear, what you need to do is lead, right? You can't let them just hop off because time kills deals. When left to their own devices, will naturally concede to the lowest expectation and operate in the safe zone. In other words, don't move forward. So how do we identify it? Again, it's if they're inconsistent and there's holes in what they're saying. Another way is just simply understanding that they were at a 10, but nowhere near as confident as they were. So, rule number one is that emotions are up and down. They're unpredictable in many ways, but they're always solvable and we're able to manage it. Okay. So, what you need to do is not just call them out on it, right? I personally don't like that. That's not my sales voice. I like to call it out empathetically and just be on the same page with them, shoulder to shoulder. I'm like, hey, is it cool if I ask a personal question? They're like, yeah. You know, it seems like you're totally on the same page about getting this going and that this is the right thing for you. And honestly, now it just seems like you have some mixed emotions if this is the right thing or not. You can be real. Is this just honest nerves and kind of whether this is the right thing, if this is going to work or not? A lot of times when I say it that way, I'm like really gentle. A lot of times, a lot of people just go like this. Yeah, I last time I made an investment like this, we lost a lot of money. The partner, the agency I invested in just didn't move forward. It's like, totally get it, man. And if it's just nerves, which 100% sounds like, that's super normal. If I was in your same shoes, it'd hurt me, right? Not to kind of all like create analogies, but if I was in a relationship with someone cheating on, they'd think twice about whether this second guy is a good guy, right? And then, like I make humorous jokes like that. Like I shouldn't have used that analogy. Sorry, can trigger people. But anyways, then just have them internalize it. It's like, tell me honestly, how does it feel like? Because like, what's on your mind about like what I've done, what I'm sharing with you, and obviously what the other agency did that didn't work well with you, right? Have them internalize it, and then give them a story where you felt the same way. So if that was a case where they've been burnt by an agency, I'm like, hey, I totally understand. Is it cool if I share, you know, a similar thing that happened to me? They're like, yeah, go ahead. So yeah, man. I mean, obviously, I'm building my business too, and I haven't learned this all without mentors and coaches. The first coach, I won't say his name just for private reasons, but it was 10,000. It was basically I didn't get the knowledge, the attention I needed, and let's just say it didn't flop. Now, was I the best student? Maybe not. I could have done better, but he definitely wasn't doing his part that he told me. Right, he overpromised and underdelivered. Now, a year goes around. This is like 2021. I get in front of my current mentor and coach, Sergio Tavares. He shows me the program. It's definitely what I need. It definitely felt like he understood my problem. And he told me the price. Guess what? It was 10K again. So you can imagine I got some trauma from that. It's 10K. I'm like, man, I'm 19 years old. It's 10K. I told him I don't have the funds. He said, no worries. We can break it up. Right? Cool. So we break it up into 3 payments. I could definitely do it, but my knees and palms were getting sweaty, not to sound like Eminem. And it was just like kind of listening and laughing at the same time. But I was like, you know, if I don't do something about this, I'll end up in the same spot. In worst case, I won't be able to keep running the business because I know I can't regress. And again, if you know your client avatar and who they are, you can leverage that to a T. So like if they're maybe at 5 to 10K, right? Or whatever, and they're nervous about regressing because they're on the build up, but they're not like and they're not really established. You can share that type of stuff. Like I'm not, I wasn't, I was running lean, I was doing good, but I definitely was scared of regressing and not going back to square one. And but so I just took the lead for that. It's like, you know what, Sergio, let's do it. And it was probably the best decision I've ever made because I wouldn't be standing in front of you if I didn't make that decision. And I use that line because it's such a heavy hitter emotionally to say, like, wow, Marcus, first of all, Marcus at 19 years old, whoa. And then the second thing is, wow, he wouldn't be helping me right now. I wouldn't be talking to you right now if it didn't happen. Guess what? It genuinely is a true story. Um, and so that's where I'm saying, like, yeah, honestly, I feel like I can help you. You tell me, you ready to get started? And a lot of people will get that restart in emotion and be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I need to take courage. I need to do something about this. Let's do it. I've landed a lot of deals with that story. It's helped me tremendously. But if they don't land, no worries. You kind of go with a little bit of a harder nudge. And this is where you kind of lead a little bit with a leading voice. Like, hey, I totally get it. Now, I mean this with love. It's cool if I share some concerns. So you can tell me how you think of it, but I personally know that your values become your feelings. Feelings can dictate your thoughts. Your thoughts dictate your actions, and actions dictate your results that you do or don't get. Right? Would you say that's kind of a good agreement on that? Right? Now, fear is normal. It's one of the biggest drivers. It can be both leveraged as negative, but also positive, right? Depending on how you use it. And honestly, animals are a great analogy. It's like, as much as we know when a lion's chasing gazelle, we all know the gazelle's running out of fear for its life to stay alive because the lion's about to kill it, right? But the lion's also fearful too, right? You might not think of it because it's chasing the gazelle, but the fear is positive because that lion has to protect its cubs. It has to protect its family because if it doesn't feed if it can't chase the gazelle, then the family's going to go hungry. So that's a positive emotion of fear. And I guess I wanted to ask you, and I would hate it if I didn't, and I wouldn't be right, and I wouldn't, sorry, but I wouldn't feel like I was doing right by you unless I asked this. But where do you feel like your fear is taking you? And honestly, it's kind of like being a wuss and saying, like, are you letting your fear drive you to make better decisions and improve your life, or letting your fear take a full advantage of you and not move forward and play small? It's kind of a hard close from there. This really should get the job done. I've never done it where I've only actually once where I had to loop twice and just kind of be like, look, honestly, you can be transparent with me. Do you really feel like this is the right thing or not? Yes or no? And the person was like, yes, I know this is the right thing. It's like, okay, so what's really stopping you from moving forward? Is it just something previously in your life that happened? You can be honest with me, man. Like I told you my life story, and honestly, I just go a little harder close because I want either yes or no, right? So that is how where are we at? So that's how I go through the fear emotion, the smoke screen, and then logistics. Again, eight times out of 10, it's going to be logistics, right? If you do everything correctly, they really should be a no brainer. There probably should be no objection handling needed, but if there are, that's how you handle it. So from there, you just get them on board, right? I don't have to make another phase. Basically, have this rehearse. Smooth is key. Once you get them onboarded, yeah, just show the next steps. Like, awesome. Let me show you what the onboarding material is going to look like. I'm excited to help you. First, we're going to have this form. Second, it's agreement form. Third, let's go ahead and knock out the payment on this call. Share a screen, take payment, not after. And then if you need to, show them the onboarding material, show them the agreement form they ask, walk them through it. Don't let them read it by themselves. Walk them through it on that call and get them to pay right there.